Hello, wonderful. It's Sarah K Ramsey here to talk about finding love and success after a toxic relationship so you can bounce back better. And it is snowing at my house today. I actually posted in the group earlier about it, so I'm like chilling by the fire. You can't see my yoga mat underneath me because one of my favorite things to do is like turn on the fire and do yoga on the fire. So hey, Elizabeth. Toxic people are really amazing at getting you to feel as if you are always doing something wrong, right? You may have heard the term walking on eggshells. You always feel like you're walking on eggshells. You never know what you're going to get. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, okay? So you may have heard of all those things. What you may not have heard is the process of intermittent rewards. And I've talked about this a little bit before. I'll go into it quickly and then kind of go into more what I was going to say. But B.F. Skinner had this experiment with mice, and every time a mouse would do something and push a lever, it would get a cookie, okay? And then some mice, they did another experiment, and they would only give the mouse a cookie sometimes. So the mice who only got the cookie sometimes actually ended up working a lot harder than the mice who got the cookie every time, okay? But you can imagine how much that messed with those people's head. Like the little mice are just like, I'm doing the same thing I've always done. I'm always, sometimes I get the cookie, sometimes I don't. I just keep working hard. I just keep, pushing the lever. I just keep, I keep trying. Why isn't it working? I keep trying. Why isn't it working? And I know that has been the thought process of so many of you. I know that has been the thought process some of you who have toxic parents, some of you have had a toxic partner, even like your sister, or a toxic friendship, or a toxic coworker. Because we think if I do the work of the relationship, I can get it to work. If I put in the work to a relationship, I can get it to work. But then you have that horrible process of intermittent rewards where sometimes you get a cookie, sometimes you don't. And sometimes you get someone who's being nice to you, sometimes you don't. Sometimes they're angry, sometimes they're nice. Sometimes they're loving, sometimes they're not. Sometimes they say they're sorry and they want to be with you, and sometimes they say how horrible you are, okay? It's that process of never knowing what you are going to get. And behavioral theorists have noticed that when you never know what you're going to get, you actually tend to work harder than if you do know. Okay, if it's an expectation, every time you do something, you're going to get a cookie. Every time you make dinner, you're going to get a compliment. Every time you buy a Christmas present, they're going to like it, okay? If there's no stability, you're always going to feel as if you're walking on eggshells because you never know what to do because the result keeps changing. And if you're a good, kind, loving, giving person, you think, oh, well, if I do the right thing, I'll get the right thing back. If I'm loving, I'll get love back. If I'm forgiving, I'll get forgiveness back. If I'm kind, I'll get kindness back. And so if you don't get it back, you keep trying harder to be more kind, to be more forgiving, to be more understanding, to be more invested in the relationship. And if you are the person who is doing all the work of the relationship, you are not the problem in the relationship. Okay, I see some amazing women and they think, oh my gosh, like everything's my fault. They make everything my fault. And it's like, what have you done the last year? I read this book and I went to this therapist and we talked about this and we did that and we did that. And I read this and I looked at this blog and I'm in Sarah's group and I'm this and that. And it's like they start to name off all these things that they're doing to try to fix a relationship. And then I'm saying, what's the other person doing? And the other person may say they are doing things, but usually it's, gosh, I've already sacrificed so much for you. Why should I have to sacrifice more? Well, why should I have to work on myself? You're the problem. So you never know what you are going to get in a relationship, which makes you always feel as if you are doing something wrong. Now, if you always feel as if you're doing something wrong, and you want to be a good girl, you want to be a good wife, you want to be a good daughter, you want to be a good friend, you want to be a good employee, you will work harder. And it creates more of a situation where you are doing all the work of the relationship and they are not working. You are doing all the work of the relationship, and they are not working. They are getting you to do the work of the relationship. Sometimes my kids do this and it drives me absolutely crazy. You know, my daughter, she's in this stage where she is really into clothes now. And she's 7. It's way too young for her to be into clothes. It's very annoying for me. But so I'll go to her closet and I'll pick out this shirt and I'll say, "What do you want to wear this to school?" "No." "Do you want to wear this to school?" "No." "Do you want to wear this to school?" "No." "Do you want to wear this to school?" "No." I know you feel me. And so it's so frustrating because I'm doing the work of going through a closet, trying to figure out, trying to problem solve, and she just gets to sit there, no, 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 no. With her, I'll usually do about 3 options or maybe 4, then I'm like, no, I'm the one doing the work and this is your job. You know, I'm the one doing the work and this is your job. And so with kids, and I do warn you to pay attention to that with your children, you can say, nope, I've done what I'm supposed to do. I'm here, I showed up, I cared for you, but it's your job. It's your work to do. Trickier when it's 2 adults, right? When it's a partner, a lover, a parent. For you to say, oh, I've done all the work I need to do, and so it's on you now, okay? But though you may not be able to say those words out loud, I hope that you can say them in your heart. I hope that you can say them internally. I hope that you can realize and take confidence in the fact that you have done so much work. Yeah, I am very cool. Dora said, let him go. Let him go to school, however, unless there's a dress code. I don't care what she wears. No, it's that she wants me to be involved in the process of picking it out. She wants to see if she can control me. I feel very strongly that my son, not so much. My daughter, no, she wants to watch me work. And I'm not saying my daughter's toxic, but she is learning balance and power and control. And so it's not as if I say you can wear whatever. It's that she wants me in the closet picking out the clothes and holding them up and doing that work. And I know her tricks because I study this. But toxic people do that all the time. My daughter's not toxic. I want to be clear about that. She's, but she is happy when I am sitting there doing all this work and she's just sitting there, okay? You know, like your kids, they'll be sitting there at the kitchen table and you're scurrying around and they say, oh, Mom, can you give me a drink? And it's like, no, I can't get you a drink. Get up and get your own drink. I'm the one doing all the work. So that was just an example, but I agree with you, Nora. But I say that example so that in your relationships in your life, I hope you don't end up in that dynamic where, they say, you need to change this, you need to change that, you need to change this, you need to change that. And yeah, Elizabeth, that is exactly when I give up. Okay, that is exactly when I give up. When I realize that power dynamic is happening, power dynamic never happens with my husband. That power dynamic never happens with my friends who are like my people. That power dynamic doesn't happen with coworkers that I'm in a healthy relationship with, okay? And I want to not be in relationships within that power dynamic because that power dynamic feels very yucky to me. I don't like that power dynamic, okay? That is to me, people say, when should you leave? When should you go? When should you leave? When should you go? When should you establish no contact if it's a family member? And that's for me, that's it. It's like, have I done everything I can do to make this relationship work? Have I done it? How many times have I done it? 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100? If you've done it 100 times and it still hasn't worked, Albert Einstein said the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. We kind of quote him as saying it. I'm not sure that he was actually the one who said it, but the concept is true. And if it wasn't Albert Einstein, it was someone very intelligent who said, insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting to get different results. And I remember hearing that quote and it was just like, oh, that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. I'm just trying harder and harder and harder and harder and harder and thinking if I try hard enough. For the example with my daughter, just to use that example again, it's like, oh, well, if I buy her a new outfit, she'll be happy. Oh, well, if I, bedazzle this outfit or do this outfit or, make this one seem really great, then she'll be happy. And again, I don't think my daughter's toxic, but she was happy sitting there watching me scurry around. Maybe she needed some extra attention that day. Maybe she was lonely that day. Maybe she was just, being a little tosh that day and she needed some, I don't know what you call your kids when they're acting like jerks. I don't know. But maybe she just needed, and she created a power dynamic that I played into, right? And I realized that pretty quickly after a few clothes, I was just like, yeah. And, Erin, gosh, I'm so big on teaching the next generation some simple things about not ending up in toxic relationships. And one of the things, the main things that's like big time rule at my house is everyone gets a turn at the top of the pyramid. Okay? So if there's a pyramid, everybody gets a turn at the top of the pyramid. Okay? They get to be the most important person. For example, if someone is sick, they're probably the most important person. If my husband is on a phone call at home with his boss, he gets to be the most important person. The kids don't get to run around the house and scream while he's on the phone. If it's someone's birthday, they get to be the most important person, right? If it was my son's birthday and he's having a party, I tell my husband to go take that call somewhere else, right? Because it's about my son, it's about the party, not, and he would be totally cool with that. It's not, but everybody gets a turn at the top of the pyramid. And that has been a wonderful teaching. And something is very wrong if one person is always at the top of the pyramid. If it's always about their interests, if it's always about their desires, if it's always about their wants. That is a really easy way to translate that to kids. They can understand it. It's very easy language. It makes sense to them and teaches them that they're not always at the top of the pyramid either. At my house, this is almost embarrassing. I've got a coffee cup right here. But we had people over for the Super Bowl, and I went like this to my. I don't know, it's embarrassing to tell you all this. I went like this to my husband, and he went and got me a drink. And I was like, his friend was there. And they're like, "Whoa, does that work for me?" And I laughed, and I said, "Oh, if you love someone as much as I love my husband, it works," or something like that, And I thought, man, alive, I've come a long way. And to him, it wasn't a thing. He would have done the same thing to me. It's just because in a conversation with one of his friends, actually. But it's like, if I did that all the time, that would be horrible. That would be so jerky, And if he did that to me all the time, I'd be like, But for in that moment, like I was kind of at the top of the pyramid. In other moments, he's at the top of the pyramid. In other moments, my kids are at the top of the pyramid. Okay, so allowing people to be at the top of the pyramid is a great way to teach your kids. But getting back to why you feel like you're always in trouble, it is because if they can make you feel as if you are always doing something wrong, then you will always keep working to make them happy. That's in their head. That's what they think. When you're good, kind, loving, giving, like I want my husband to be happy. I want him to be the happiest person in the world. I just sent a text to him. He's on a plane, and I said, "I love you, like really love you." And he's like, "Love you more." I want him to be the happiest person on the entire planet because he married me, because he makes me so happy. Okay, I don't think I'm gonna do some bad stuff and make him on edge so he works harder in the relationship, because if you're not the toxic person, that sounds crazy. But also, if you don't think that way, you miss it when other people are thinking that way. You don't want to miss it when other people are thinking that way. If you don't understand power dynamics, you just keep going through that closet and pulling out clothes because you think eventually you're going to get the right shirt. And it's not about the shirt, it's about the power dynamic. And if people are putting you in situations that create unhealthy power dynamics, run. Even the success stories that I hear, people are like, "Oh, it's so much better now, we're so much better off." And it's like, then I investigate, "Oh, we're so much better off. Oh, she's not allowed to go to the grocery store by herself. Oh, she's not allowed to spend more than $50 she's not allowed to leave her house to go work out. Oh, she can't spend $100. Well, they had plenty of money. She can't spend $100. Oh, she doesn't have you took away your credit cards. Oh, you took this away. Oh, she's not allowed to be friends with people. Oh, she's not allowed to work. Oh, she's not allowed to." There were always hidden stories of control. There are always hidden stories of control. And if you don't understand power dynamics, you are susceptible to power dynamics. If you don't understand there are people out there trying to control you, you might end up walking on eggshells and thinking, if I work harder, I can make the relationship work. When their goal is to keep you working harder. And the more they can, because chaos makes you easier to control. And the more they can get you to work, the less work they have to do. Okay? Danae, we do not understand. Well, I mean, you are learning because I'm teaching you, and I understand now. But it's no. I mean, I say things to people on the phone, and I was like, wait. So he took your credit cards, but you're like a bad person if you get a credit card. This wasn't a person who had debt. This wasn't anything. It was a phone call I had this week, and he literally just like took her credit cards. And she didn't have any. And she couldn't pay to go to the doctor that day. And I was like, how are you the bad person for getting a credit card? Like, why isn't he the bad person for taking your credit cards away? But you can't like go to the doctor. Okay? But in our heads, we feel like we're always the one doing something wrong. We don't understand that power dynamic. And so we are susceptible to the power dynamic. Okay, so I hope that helps. If you have never scheduled a phone call with me and you're not in the Wonder Woman program or working with me privately, you are missing out. You're missing out. Yes, they want to Aaron, they totally want to take away our escape plan. Yeah. And it's just good people. I mean, that poor girl, she was like, what? He makes me feel bad. So I feel like I'm doing something wrong, and that's a lot of what I, talk and coach people with. It's like, are you really doing something wrong, or do they make you feel as if you're doing something wrong? If it was anybody else and you were on the outside looking in, would you think there's an adult woman who didn't have any debt issues, like wanting to get a credit card? Like, this is like basic life. This is standard. Ooh, Elizabeth, I'll message you. You can ask Danae about it. She'll say wonderful things. She keeps saying she's changed her life more in a month than she has in 5 years. But I do get that response a lot because it is very, very, very different. Elizabeth, we absolutely do it to avoid. Thank you, Aaron. We absolutely. Avoid punishment. And they hate feeling control themselves. And trying to control them, Nora, can put us in a really dangerous situation. And I always want you to be safe, and sometimes we have to be strategic to keep our safety. And some people that work with me, it's about a safety plan, building their future, and some people it's like, I'm done with that, I'm ready to move on. There's no right or wrong, but think about your life, think about your future, plan for it. If that means leaving a bad situation, setting boundaries with your family members, rediscovering your dreams after leaving a bad relationship, like whatever that means for you, just be strategic about your life. Be strategic about your life, because if you aren't strategic about your life, you are never going to get where you want to go. And some of you, you're in this group and you kind of live in my hometown, and you can say things about my real life. I joke because it's like, oh, no, this is my real life. Like, this is if we were at dinner together, this is exactly how I would act. And purposely, sometimes I don't like fix up and stuff for Q&As because it's like, oh no, this is like me. I want you to feel like me. This is like me. But people in my real life, they're like, oh my gosh, you have like this enchanted life. Like, you have all this good stuff happen to you and things always work out for you. And it's like this and it's like that. And it's like, Do you want to know how it got here? Because it wasn't just a magic fairy. I kept waiting for my fairy godmother to walk in with her wand. I really wanted that so bad. I wanted to just be able to pray a prayer and it all poof. I wanted to find the magic genie lamp. I wanted to, whatever else, find a leprechaun, my fairy godmother. I don't know, like whatever it was. I wanted to find something that made it better, that Wasn't me having to do the work. I didn't want to have to do the work. But I have made the work much easier for you guys because I figured out what did work in a way that makes it simple to follow. Very simple to follow. Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you. I am very happy, and I'm not particularly special. I am special, but I got with some really good people and figured out what would work, and then figured out my own life, and I have a real phrase that says, if it's not working, stop doing it. If it's not working, stop doing that. If you're going to a therapist, it's not working, stop doing it. If you're just trying to read books instead of getting help from a real human, stop doing it. If you keep trying to keep hope alive that if you work hard enough, the relationship will work, stop doing it, okay? I want you to ask yourself that question. Is it working? Is it working? And I ask that question in my life. Oh, hi, Nikki. I ask that question in my life all the time. Is it working? Is it working? Is it working? Is it working? Change it. Is it working? Change it. Is it working? Change it. Okay? And that can feel really scary, and that's not, it's a process, and you learn, and then you start to learn that it takes more energy to get the wrong thing to work than to try to figure out a new thing to work. Okay? So, my husband's like texting me. I don't know what he's saying. I think he's on a plane right now, going to the UK. So, I hope that helps. This is a lovely long recording. But check out in the video section of this group, there are tons of past videos. There is tons of training in here for you that I've already done. You can look it out, check me out, check out some goodness. Obviously, I'm always posting articles and stuff. If you want to go to sarahkramsey.com and read some of the articles and things that I've written, there's some there. Obviously, other places have published hardly anything I publish from my website anymore, but it's definitely some of my earlier stuff, which some of my earlier stuff is sometimes the best because it was when I was closest to the problem. So some things I'm like, oh, I don't want to change because it was when I was so much closer to the problem. So anyway, big love. Catch you later.